Greetings to all, and a warm welcome to our latest live webcast, NFR licenses and internal QA licenses, control without manual overhead. We're thrilled you've decided to join us for this enlightening masterclass. With each episode, we provide new highlights, technical tips, and success stories that will leave you inspired and ready to get your protection, licensing, and security techniques another step closer to perfection. At WIBU-SYSTEMS, we empower software publishers and intelligent device manufacturers with cutting-edge technologies, new business models, and tailor-made consulting training. Let us help you upgrade, optimize, and automate your entire license lifecycle management so you can focus on monetizing your business at a higher level. My name is Clifton Passo, Marketing Director of WIBU-SYSTEMS USA, and I am delighted to have you here with us today. We are joined by Rudiger Kugler, VP of Professional Services and Security Expert, and Lucas Klassen, Professional Services, both from the headquarters of WIBU-SYSTEMS. To give you a roadmap for today's session, here is what we will be covering. Software vendors often issue not-for-resale licenses and internal QA licenses for employees, partners, demonstrations, or internal testing. Although these licenses are not commercially distributed, they still require structured management. With CodeMeter License Central and CodeMeter License Portal, you can enable automated provisioning, controlled feature sets, and self-service workflows. Typical scenarios include NFR licenses with full product functionality and short-lived internal QA licenses tailored to testing environments combined with automated renewal, revocation, and flexible container deployment. Now, before we dive into the content, let's quickly address a few housekeeping items. For all of you tuning in today, we've set aside a special segment at the end of the session exclusively for Q&A. We encourage you to drop your questions into the live chat box as they come to mind. And if we can't get to your questions during the live discussion, we will make it a priority to engage with you individually at a later time to address your questions. This session is being recorded, and a link to the on-demand replay will be sent straight to your inbox within the next couple of days. This way, you can revisit the insights shared today at your leisure. And a brief survey at the end of the webinar includes questions aimed at gauging the quality of this masterclass. And while these questions are optional, your feedback will empower us to enhance the quality of our offerings and tailor our online events more precisely to meet your needs. And now, without any more delay, I'm delighted to hand over the reins to Rudiger. The stage is all yours.
Thank you, Cliff, for the introduction. My name is Rudiger Kugler, and together with my colleague Lucas Klassen, we will show you in the next 50 to 55 minutes how to create, manage internal licenses, mainly NFR licenses, and of course also internal QA licenses. And I had a discussion a couple of weeks ago with a customer of mine. We discussed about the performance of the activation of his internal development licenses and the size of the update files. And then after checking how he implemented the licenses, we thought, oh, maybe we have different options to implement this. And this was one of the reasons why we thought we should have a webinar about this, so that you can choose the best option for you. And mainly we have two options that we will show you in the next minutes. But before we start with how to implement this, maybe a few words. What are NFR licenses? Why do we need them? What are internal licenses? And with this, I hand over to Lucas. Can you tell us what are NFR licenses?
Yes, of course. Hello, also from my side. So first, what are the requirements for our not for resales licenses? First of all, of course, we don't want, if we lose the license or if the employee changes the company, that the license is lost or is used by someone else. Then, as I already said, these licenses are only for employees of ours. So for the sales department, for the support department, for the developers especially, and also for sales partners of ours. And it's intended that these are used for internal demo usage only. so that we have all of the feature sets that our software offers unlocked, including all future features we intend to add in the future. These licenses should be assigned to a single user, so not as we showed in other webinars that are using floating network licenses in a company or department context. We want these licenses to be bound to a single user. And as soon as the employee leaves the company, we want to revoke this access so that they don't have access to our full feature set of the software anymore. And of course, we want no manual intervention. We want everything to be automated. As soon as the license renewal process starts, that's especially for our first requirement, that the license should not be used otherwise if it's lost. For that, we need this renewal process. But we, as the license administrator, we do not want to have any manual intervention here. And what about the requirements for our internal Q&A licenses?
So I would say the internal Q&A licenses are very close to the NFR licenses. Of course, if they are lost, the user or third party should not be able to misuse it, at least not use it for a long time. Compared to an NFR license, which are for internal employees and partners, they are typically issued for QA employees, which do internal tests, mainly tests for software testing and for testing if the licensing works in the software. And this brings us to the requirement that not all features need to be activated, but different feature sets. So let's assume the software QA employee needs to test a set of feature A and B. Then, of course, the license needs to include feature A and B. And if he should do another test, then, of course, other features. Typically, one of the licensing tests is license can be activated, license is there, license expires, license is deactivated. Activation, deactivation, quite easy and simple to do with license center, license portal, but how to make a license expire, and that's why this internal licenses should have a very short runtime so that they might expire after a few minutes, seconds, something like this for testing. Another thing is, like Lucas already said, for the NFR licenses, there should be no or at least less manual intervention by a license admin. So they should be reusable. And as already mentioned, there should be no or as less as possible interaction by the license admin. So the license should be, or it should be, the system or the license administrator should not need to create new test licenses for every test case. So he should create the licenses maybe for one test case once, and then the same license should be reused for the multiple repetitions of the same test case. Yeah, and with this, let's take a dive into how to implement this. And I told you at the beginning, we have two different options, and let's start with the first option. My favorite, by the way, is the second option, but we will see later why. The first option is we will create NFR licenses with all the product code. So let's assume we have multiple different features, multiple different products, and you want to give an in-house license, which includes all the 60, 64, 65, 66 features, for instance. Then one option would be you take every product code and in the software, in this case, you do nothing. So you implement the software like you typically implement the software. So you check for feature A, check for feature B, or feature 1 and 2 in my case, and then everything is fine. And we put all the actions on the license administrator. And today I will be the software developer. So I will speak for the integration to the software. And Lucas, it's your turn. What do you need to do in this case in License Central?
In that case, I have to do a bit more work than you have to do on the software part. But yeah, let's get into it. This option with all the product codes is the most obvious one, I would say. In the License Central, we go ahead and create the module items for each product code. So for every feature we want to sell separately. We create one product code, we create one module item, and then we have one not for resale item, which bundles them all together. And different to our normal perpetual subscription items that we have in addition to them, we don't set the module items to be selectable or deselectable. So during the order, I can select that the customer has bought this feature or has not bought it. We want to have these items as necessary components of the NFR item so that as soon as we create this license, we have all the features enabled. If we have now in the future a new feature which it's not yet already in our license, we have to first of all create a new module item, add it to the NFR item, and then we have to get all the old licenses, replace them, which can also be some kind of automated. But nevertheless, we have to replace these licenses and the users have to update them. This could be done by manual work. So they log into the web depot or license portal and click on auto update. Or if you have implemented a software activation wizard, which in a time duration automatically calls home to the license central, this can be automated. So the user has to do nothing. And if there are no new features, we want to use our automatic renewal process, which is done by our checkpoint license model or by the subscription license model. The difference here is that the checkpoint license model is intended to have a shorter lifespan. So it's a perpetual license, so that you don't have to you don't pay for the subscription, but it's more that it runs infinitely. But this checkpoint license you have to renew after a given amount of time. For example, this license runs for 30 days and 10 days before it expires, you have to update it. On the other hand, we have our subscriptions. They typically end at the end of the year or from now on in 365 days. And they have another option that they can be canceled, so that you cancel this license now or this subscription now, and it will run until the expiration time. With the withdrawal, which we have to use for the checkpoint licenses, it's if the license gets in touch with the license central. So if they do an auto update, if they do renew, if they want to activate a new license, rehost the license, any action they do, the license will be automatically withdrawn. So it will, so it cannot be used any longer. That's also an option for the subscription, but the subscription can also be canceled, so it runs until the end of the expiration time. This way with using all the product codes has one down point, that we create large licenses. So license context files, license updates files. We have to do a lot of cryptographic programming in the background. So that could lead to a bad performance and size limits if you have a lot amount of features you want to put in there.
Especially if you use the bundles instead of the module items, then the size increases more than compared to the module items. That's why Lukas said here the module items are the recommended way and the bundles are just an option. But now I think it's a time for a short demonstration. And for the short demonstration, we prepared a small software. The software, I will start it immediately. Is a small, tiny, small application. And here we have it. It's on my second screen. And I have a basic feature, so the software starts, does not start. And I have two additional features, feature 1, which simply shows feature 1 successfully executed, and feature 2, which does exactly the same for feature 2. Of course, in a real-life application, it would have a little bit more functionality behind the two buttons or behind the two different features, but let's assume that it is our standard application. So, and now, if we want to use our tool AX Protector for the automatic protection, we would say, okay, we go to the expert configuration AX Protector. It's a .NET application, so we can simply pick the file here. If you are a .NET programmer, then you should be aware that the DLL includes your intellectual property, and the exe file is only the startup program. We will define the output directory, which we set to protected. Okay, and we click on next. So, and now it analyzes our code. Analyzes our code. This is quite interesting. I forgot to connect my firm security box. I'll do it once again. So it analyzes our code. This is quite strange. It should work. I have an idea why it does not work, but give me a second. When we tried this morning, everything worked fine. And now I get an error message. So it analyzes the source code, and what we see here, it found annotations in the source code. So let's take a look. And in the source code, I told you I have two different features, feature 1, feature 2. And the feature 1 is this functionality. So my function feature 1, function feature 2 is the functionality of feature 2. And we only say, okay, function successfully executed. And in the code, I said, okay, this function belongs to feature number 1, so to license list 1. And the feature 2 belongs to license list number 2. And so these are the annotations which can be found inside the code. So when I click on next, I need to define my licenses and my features. So the first, I say I define my licenses. So the basic license should run with my firm code. Firm code is 6,947. And the basic license should be the product code 1000. I will apply the change here. And I define this is my feature named basic feature. Basic feature. Okay, apply changes. So I told you I want to activate two more features. So let's create two new license entries, feature 1 and feature 2. 1, apply changes, feature 2. Feature 2, and this should have the product code 1002. I think quite easy, quite simple. And here we should call this feature 1 license. Give me a second. License. That's it. So, and now we need to create a license list. One license list typically belongs to one feature. So I will create a license list with the name feature 1, apply changes, and I will create a second one, which I call feature 2. So, and what do? We assign the basic license, or is assigned to the basic feature, or the code meta license is assigned to the basic feature. We assign the feature 1 license to the license list with the, to the feature 1, and we assign the feature 2 license to feature 2. So quite easy, straightforward, a one-to-one connection between the feature and the license. So this is something that we can typically do. So, and then of course, in our code, we need to check if the annotations worked, and yes, the annotations work fine. So we see that the feature 1 is assigned to license list 1, the feature 2 to license list 2, and this is because of the annotations in the code, so that here you see this function feature 2 is assigned to 2, and this feature 1 is assigned to 1. So, and that's why we find them here once again. So we don't need to change anything here. This was already done by the developer, by me, in my source code. I click on next. And so the rest of the options are for a special webinar about AX Protector for .NET. So here we have a control file. This is made in the YAML format. And I click on next, and I click on encrypt. Give me a second. Yes, I click on encrypt.
So we have our first question in the chat. Does this also work for Java programs?
Yes. So AX Protector and this feature of the license list is available for all our AX Protectors, so for Java, for .NET, for native C++ code, for JavaScript code, for Python code. I think I did I forget something? But so for all AX Protectors, so this feature was introduced a long time ago, so 15, 20 years. So the option to do this with AX Protector is available for multiple operating system and programming languages. So for C, for Delphi, for C#, for Java, for JavaScript, Python, for Windows, Linux, and macOS systems, so available for all of them. So, but now we have our encrypted application. Now we have our encrypted application, and with the encrypted application, where are we? Here we are. So, it's in the folder release .NET 6. Yes, I know I am using still .NET 6, but it would also work with the latest .NET version, and everything is in the protected folder. And so this is the protected DLL. The unprotected DLL, by the way, was 8 kilobyte. The protected one is now 186. So this is due to the protection. It gets larger. The exe file, I copied the exe file manually. This is just a startup program, and I copied the runtime configuration. And now when I start my software, I will get the error message.
I think you need to click on the executable.
I need to click on the executable, of course. So, sorry. So if I click on the executable, I get a message that there was no license found because we have not created any license so far. So, and with this, this was straightforward. So this was what I typically would do as a software developer. When I want to integrate AX Protector, I define the features, I define the licenses, I assign the licenses to the features, typically a one-to-one connection. I assign the features to the code in the software, and then I click on protect, and everything is fine. So now it's, Lukas, up to you to implement the NFR license in License Central.
Yes. So now we start with, like every other product we are creating, we first create a new item. And I would say we start with the features, because these are the components, the module items, and they're relatively straightforward and easy to configure. So we start with that. Let's give our first feature the item ID F1. It has nothing to do with the sport, and name it feature 1. And for the license entry, we add the product code, which is 1001. We want to add this to the license entry. And for the license option, we simply can set product item text, product text. set it also to feature 1. That's what being displayed inside of the web admin of our runtime. And that's everything we have to configure for our first feature. And then for the second feature, it's relatively straightforward. We just duplicate this one. I'll change it to F2 feature 2. We change the product code to 1002. And we set the product text also to feature 2. Let's save this second feature. And now we are creating our NFR license. We switch the item type to module item parent. So that's the NFR license, which combines every module items. Let's say it's the NFR all, because we're using all product codes. We give it a name NFR license. Now we can choose where this license can be activated. Cloud and dongles are the most secure ones. So if we say all of our developers, sales staff already have a dongle or should get a dongle, so they can only program their NFR license, which unlocks all of our feature sets, that should only be activated on a dongle. We can select it here. If we say dongle can be lost, we want to have it in a cloud, that's also a possibility. But for our demo purposes, the most easy one is the ACT license, which we'll choose here. Then for the license entry, we have to add one as well here. You remember we have the product code 1000, which is necessary to start the program. So we add it here, and here we can set also the product text to NFR license. Another thing what I like to do is setting the license information query field, and we set it to allow the value modification on activation. And if I'll enter the special keyword ticket in here, what it will do when activating the license, the ticket identification will be written inside of the license. This is especially useful for support purposes. So you can say to the user where to find the ticket identification, and then you can look it up inside of the License Central or License Portal, or you could also read it out from your software activation wizard. And another thing we have to add, because of our requirement that it should be not misusable if it gets lost, we have to set an expiration time so that it only runs a set amount of time and then has to be renewed. And of course, if it's lost, we will prevent the renew. So the time it can be used after it's being lost is limited. As already said, we can use checkpoint or subscription licenses in here. To make it easy, I want to present now the checkpoint license option. So first of all, I'm setting the date here to the 1st of January or the 30th of January of the year 2000. And we have to set the allow value modification to on activation, and also here a special keyword checkpoint, which is all in lowercase. So that's the expiration time. And in this expiration time, we code the information how long this license will be valid and when you can renew it. So as you can see, why set the date to the expiration time to year 2000? That's really long ago. It's because that's our encoded value that this license should be only valid for 30 days. So it counts from the 1st of January 2000, 30 days. The 13th of January means 30 days from that on. The license should be only valid for 30 days. So when the license gets lost, the maximum amount of time that it can be used is 30 days. And in the time, we code when the renewal will be possible. So you could set it to 10 seconds, which means 10 days before the end of the expiration time. You can renew it. So that would be, I think 30 days from now on would be the 17th of April. 10 days prior means the 7th of April, and then we can go to the web depot and make a renew. But for the demo purposes that you can see that it's being renewed, I wanted to say 30 days. So it will be valid for 30 days, and 30 days prior to the expiration time, you can renew it. So that means instant renew is possible. And that's everything. That's everything for the license entry. Of course, we have to add our module items. Feature 1, module item mode necessary. We could also say selectable or deselectable. We want to do that for our other licenses, for the perpetual subscriptions, which we sell to our customers. But for the internal, we want to have it necessary because this NFR license should unlock all our features. We also add the second feature, click OK, save it, and now we can create a new order. Let's say it, we have the customer ID webinar, we add a new license, NFR license. You see the components, feature 1, feature 2 will be enabled with that, and we create a license right now. Then we switch into the web depot and activate this license on our computer. We don't have an CM Act container right now on our device, so it will be created automatically, and I'll activate this license. Just a second. I think that's a problem from our setup. That should be working right now. Yeah, now it's working. We have activated the license. And now when I have a look into our CodeMeter Control Center, I see our container. I can click on the web admin. And I see here we have our NFR license. We have feature 1, we have feature 2, product code 1000, 1001, 1002. And if I click into the product code, I also see that it's valid until the 17th of April, so that's 30 days, 8 p.m., 32 minutes and 24 seconds. That's our current time in 30 days, and we have a switch of the times because of the summertime. And if I click on update licenses here, that's the checkpoint mechanism, because we said it's possible 30 days prior to the expiration time, which is now, we can do that. If we have set it to 10 seconds, it would only be possible on the 17th of April onward. But we can do that now, and everything works fine. If I refresh here, we see that the time has changed. So we have now extended it, so it's valid for another 30 days from now on.
Does the software now start?
Yes,
Work?
let's check. We start the program, we click on feature 1 works, feature 2 works. So everything we wanted to have is possible. But if we skip now to a future time, like say 1 year, and we have a super cool new feature which we want to implement, how do we do it in the software? And then afterwards, how do we set it up for our NFR licenses?
Okay, so I think it's now my turn to implement a cool new feature. So I go to the source code and I will simply implement feature number 3. Give me a second. Take designer. So I will simply copy the button and put it here, and I will rename it to feature number 3. So, and I will simply copy feature number 2 and will call this feature 3. And maybe we need it in the future, and we'll have in the future feature number 4. That's why I will already prepare it to save a little bit time here. Okay, feature number 3. So the function is called feature 3, license list 3, and the message box shows feature number 3 works. And let's also already in advance implement the feature number 4. And here we are. So, and in the meantime, in the designer, I should be able to change to feature 3. Go back to the code, and we should not use the not. I will remove it. I will remove feature number 4. We will put it in there later, and I will copy the code. So this means if we click on the button for feature 3, we will check for if the license 3 is there, then we will call feature number 3, and if not, we will bring an error message which says feature number 3 is not available. So we'll compile this. So. This is already fine. So the new application with 3 features. So now we need to go back to our AX protector. So in this case, I will first save the configuration, next, and save configuration. I will save it here, NFR license, okay, yes. So I need to start once again with this NFR license, because in this case he reloads and reanalyzes the source code due to performance issues. We don't do this if we simply change the application in the background. So, and typically what would I do? I would add this third feature, feature 3, product code 1003, not 10,003, apply changes. I would create a new license list for the feature, also name this feature 3. And of course, I think you already know it, I will assign a feature 3 license to make it more clear. I will assign feature 3 license to feature number 3. Next, we will check if the annotations in the code worked. Of course, we don't need to do this, but it's nice and easy, and we see, okay, license list 1, license list 2, license list 3, so everything is fine. Next, and we will encrypt our application.
So time for another question from the chat. Are there any requirements for using NFR licenses? Do we have a special kind of runtime version or AX protector version or license central version?
Not really. So AX protector supports this feature since a really long time. So since 15 years, 10 years, something like this. For License Central, also all the stuff is supported, I would say, nearly since the beginning. If you want to use the subscription and checkpoint feature, then you need a web depot which was released 3 years ago, 5 years ago, something like this. So that means all the features that you see here are available since a long time. And it's simply the combination that we show here and what you need to do in AX Protector, what you need to do in the License Central. And so it's a combination of all the stuff. So, and now we see that we successfully encrypted our application. So, and when I start the application now, so meaning as a software developer, I got now the new application. I still have my NFR license. So if you take a look here, my NFR license is still there. And in the NFR license, I have the feature 1 and 2. And so when I click on feature 1, I expect it works only also with the new application. Feature 2 works. But what happens if I press the button feature 3? So if I press the button, I get a message, license error, no license for feature 3 found. So because, yeah, we had a one-to-one connection. Feature 3 is not included in the license. So now it's time for Lukas to do something in License Central, I guess. And what do you need to do in License Central?
Okay, first of all, we have a new feature. So we have to create a new module item. We have to do that anyways, because this feature should be sold to our customers. I also make it easy and just copy the feature 2 we have in here, make it feature 3. Name is feature 3, product code 1003, product text feature 3. And of course, we have added our features to our NFR license. And now we have to change that as well and add the feature 3 to here. So now the new NFR license has all the 3 features, but when I'll have a look in the web admin, I'll still see the 2 features because we haven't updated. And when I do the update, it will still be feature 1 and 2 because we have still the old license. We have renewed it, so it's valid for 30 days, but we still have feature 1 and feature 2. You can also see it right here. So what we have to do now is we have to go look for all the old licenses and we have to replace them with a new license. So I did this product license information where it said we want to have the ticket inside of the license. If we switch to the web admin and click on the product code, you see here in the license information that this is our ticket identification. So if the user, if you ask the user which ticket you have, you can direct him to go here and you have the ticket information in there. So what to do for replace? We create a new order. We have to set the same customer ID as we used before. And why have I shown you this with the ticket ID? We have to use or click here, use existing ticket ID. We can click into here and we see all the tickets that are associated to that customer ID. In our case, it's the first one. Then we have to add a new item. We want to have the NFR license here. And you see feature 1, feature 2, feature 3 are in there. And we need to click this checkbox, replace as a license, and click the old license. So that's the old one, and we want to replace it with the new one. Now we have to click OK, and everything's set up. So now if we refresh the web depot, we see now here that the update button is gone and we have the auto update button here. In the next release of the web depot and license portal, this will only be one auto update button and we will do anything in there. So now I can transfer the license update, and first of all, I will get another 30 days. But when I refresh here, you see the feature 3 is in there. And if I'll start the program now, it still starts, hopefully. I can still use feature 1, feature 2, and I can also use feature 3 now. The update of the licenses, so not if you have a software activation wizard, which pulls the automatic updates automatically, the user does not have to log into the web depot and clicks here on auto update and does the stuff that can be done in the background. And also the replacement could be automated, but still it's work that has to be done either by manual work or via this auto update. And now we have another question in the chat. How can you now, if a container is now lost, how can you get rid of it so it can be not used anymore or the renew will stop? So for that, we go back into the License Central. We have our ticket right here and I'll copy it. You could also search for the serial number and you click on Order Search. So I have now input the ticket ID. You could also search for the customer ID, also for the serial number. And now I click on the order ID, and then you have this withdraw licenses button up here. And then you click on the NFR all license, which you want to withdraw. For module items, you only have to click on the module item parent. And then we confirm the withdrawal. All of the licenses are withdrawn. When I go back now to the web depot, I see the status has changed to withdrawal requested, and we can do an auto update, but we cannot do an update, so we cannot renew the license anymore. If I have a look inside of the container, we still have the licenses. The licenses are still valid until the 17th of April. So if it's lost, that could be used for 30 days, but after that, it cannot be renewed. And if someone wants to have an additional activation on their container, the auto update will be applied automatically. And what the auto update does, it removes the licenses from the container. So now the container is empty. And if I'll try to restart the program once again, it will lead to the error message.
Yeah, and so what we have seen is this is one way to implement an NFR license. And if you take a look on the clock, you see that this took a long time to implement it, show it, and especially I as developer do it once, but Lukas as the license administrator today needs to do this multiple times. And so that's why there is a different option, a second option, and I like the second option more, and we will show you that the second option is easier, especially in the handling on Lukas' side. And in this case, we decide, we use one special product code, which includes all features, in our case, 999. So, and in the software, I define this additional license. I will add this to every feature, so to every license list. And if I would use CodeMinor Core API, it was something like, if product code 1000 is there, start application. Else if product code 999 is there, start application, else throw error message. And for the first feature, if product code 1001 is there, start feature 1. Else if product code 999 is there, start feature 1. Else show error message. And so this is what I would or what I will implement in the software. I will show this in a couple of seconds. And Lukas, I think in the back office, it's nothing special, right?
No, it's more easier than the first version. In the back office, we just have to have our separate NFR item, which we have done already. We also have to configure our subscription or checkpoint, but we don't have to add the different module items or the different components, features. We just add the NFR product code, and it activates all of the features. You can still do the withdrawal, you can still do the cancellation, but every time you have a new feature in place, I'm in the back office, have to do nothing.
Okay, so it looks like the work is on my side, and then I will do this. I will go to the AX Protector once again. I will go to Manage License List. I will say I define one additional license, which is the NFR license. As I told you, I want to use 999 as product code. Of course, a product code that you can choose freely. I click on Apply Changes, and then the important thing is I will add the NFR license to every feature, so to every license list. Which means the basic features of software starts if the CodeMinor license is there or if the NFR license is available. Second thing, I will add the license entry also to the feature 1. I will add the NFR license to feature 2. I will add the NFR license to feature 3. So I will add it to every license or to every feature that I have. Let's check something here. Important is that you use station share to make sure that if multiple licenses are accessed at the same time, it will count as one access and not as multiple accesses. So even if you're using a different mode like user limit here, you should definitely use the station share feature in the NFR license, very important. So here the rest stays the same. Okay, 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 okay. and I need to encrypt the software. For this, I will take back the firm security box from the CodeMeter License Central. And the encryption is in progress. So everything is fine. So I put it back to License Central so that Lucas can continue with the creation of the license. But first I show you that the software now does not start because we have no license. And the message now changes to you need either the 1000 or the 999 to start the software. So now Lucas needs to create his NFR license with 999 in CodeMeter License Central.
Okay, so let's switch to the License Central. Let's go back to the items and let's search for our existing NFR license. I want to edit it. And now we don't need a module item parent because we don't want to edit components. I can switch it to default. The components are gone automatically. All the other things like the item ID, let's change it to NFR1. So we have a different ID here. Name can stay the same, container type is the same, product text is the same, expiration time, if you're using subscription or if you're using checkpoints, it's the same as with the version or the other solution we've showed earlier. The only thing we have to change is the product code up here because we don't want to have the 1000, we want to have the 999. Which is our NFR product code. And as easy as it is, this is our NFR license. It's a simple, easy checkpoint license, just with one product code. I can create a new order here. Say customer ID webinar again. And of course, if I'm using the license portal, or creating these licenses via license portal, I can assign these licenses to the single user which logs in and who can only see his own licenses. So that's another way to achieve the requirement that the license is assigned to one employee only. Yeah, let's activate this license. We can use the existing container. Let's just show the container is still empty because we have withdrawn the license from earlier. Yeah, we have still the checkpoint functionality, but I think you are aware that it will work. And let's open up the program. Yeah, it's working. We have feature 1, feature 2, feature 3. All of them are enabled. And now I think, Rüdiger, you already showed that we can have another feature set in the next release.
So now let's assume once again 1 year later. 1 year later, one more function. I already tried to do this last time, but now let's do it here really. I go to the feature 3. I will make a copy of feature 3. I will put it here. I will rename it to feature 4. I will simply copy the code and say there is a 4th feature. So Whoopee Engine feature 4. Name is feature 4 and the text says feature 4 successfully executed. That's fine. So and in the code on our button, we will of course check if feature 4 is available. So Whoopee check license from feature 4. If it is available, then call the function feature 4. Quite easy and simple. And if not, show error feature 4. Okay, we need to compile our application. We already know how to do this. So now we have 4 features. Okay, so now we need to take our firm security box. Now we go to AX Protector and I need to save the configuration to refresh the thing here. One PC, that's fine. Yes. So switch back to protection mode, reload the setting. So usually, of course, you don't need to do this because usually we do this after 1 year and then AX Protector graphical user interface was closed. And so this is more or less a problem that I have here to show this. So, okay, we have a new feature. Let's call this feature 4 license. Now I can do this very easy and fast. Product code, you will guess it's the 1004. And I will create a new license list, feature 4. And now the important thing, we will add, of course, the feature 4 to feature 4, to the feature 4 license, to the feature 4. And the important thing is we add the NFR license as well. So I click on next. Here just to show you that our annotations still work. Cool. Next. So also here in our configuration file, we see the defined licenses, and then we see that every feature has the NFR license included as optional fallback license. Next, and I click on encrypt. More questions in the chat, by the way. Okay, it's already done, so the questions later. And now the important thing is what happens if we start our protected software now. You remember, I still have the, I don't want to use the firm security box, so I remove it. So I still have the NFR license, and in the NFR license, I still have the old NFR license, so nothing has changed. But when I start the application, feature 1 works, of course, feature 3 works, feature 2 works. So it also works in different order. So, and of course, feature 4 also works because it also includes the NFR fallback license. So the important thing is for every feature or license list that you define in AX Protector, you need simply to add the NFR license. And then it's quite easy and done because now Lukas does not need to do anything. So all the multiple employees and partners who have their NFR licenses can still work with them and nothing to do when we release a new software. This is why I really like this feature and why I think this is more cool. And if you take a look on the clock, it was easier
6
to
minutes.
do and faster than the 40 minutes to explain the other feature set.
I like that as well because I don't have to do the replacement stuff right now.
Okay, so we also told you we want to talk something about the internal QA licenses. And in the internal QA licenses, I need to do nothing in the software because everything was already done. I think now it's time to explain the technical problems that we had. Our software, AX Protector, uses CodeMeter as licensing system. And so we need a CodeMeter license to use AX Protector. And in the morning when we tested this, we didn't have a license because I have a license. And this license is connected to my license central, which Lukas uses to create the licenses. So I have one firm security box, and I use it between my license central and between my computer to run AX Protector. So and if I have only one firm security box, I need to connect it to the license central or to my computer. And the first thing is, it was connected to license central, and so AX Protector didn't work. So, and then we moved it to my computer and it also didn't work. And I was a little bit surprised because I don't have an NFR license of AX Protector. I have an internal QA test license, which in my case expires after 1 hour. And so it was already expired because we used this in the morning session. And I thought it was an NFR license, but it was exactly this QA test license. And in this case, Lukas, what do you need to implement in License Central?
So in License Central, we don't have to do that much for our test licenses if we want to test the feature sets. So we want to test if I sell only feature 1, is only feature 1 is working. If I want to sell feature 2, that only feature 2 is working. I can also test the combination. If I'll sell feature 1 and feature 2, feature 3 should not work, and so on. And for that, we simply create the module items. We create a standard subscription item, module item parent. And then we add the components, our feature items, to that module item parent. And in that case, we don't say that the module items should be necessary components. We say they should be selectable, for example. And then we can create a set of licenses which different, which all have a different set of components. So we can issue a license that only has the feature 1. We can issue a license that only has feature 2. We can issue a license that has feature 1 and 2, and so on. And if we want to test also that the expiration is set, or that the software is not working when the license is expired, as you saw earlier in this webinar, what do we have to do then?
Okay, so we need to create a special license where we say, okay, the expiration time is X minutes from the activation. And when you return the license, then of course it will be reset. And then when you activate it again, it will be the X minutes or X seconds, depending on the configuration from the activation once again. And for this, I can show you my license for AX Protector. I need to put back the firm security box here. And if we take a look to the firm security box, I will open my AX Protector license. So, and here we see it's set to German time that my license will expire on the today on the 18th of March in 8 p.m. and 17 minutes because I activated it at 7 p.m. German time and 17 minutes. So, and if I would now go to the license portal, to my license portal, and say I want to deactivate the license from my computer, I can deactivate it. I will do. So, okay. And then I can activate the license once again. I activate it once again into the same dongle. In case of a test case, I can activate it also to another dongle. I will start a license transfer. And then what we see is that the license was reset and it's once again 1 hour from the activation. So it should be now a couple of minutes after 9. Shift reload. 2 minutes after 9 p.m. So you see it's 1 hour from the starting because the configuration says 1 hour. But of course, for an internal test license, you could also say it is 5 seconds and then it expires nearly immediately after activation. So you can define everything between 0 seconds and 3,600 seconds. So this is in the implementation. If you need something else, of course, this might be possible. Some words about the misuse, because now in this case, I showed you my ticket. And so if I deactivate the license and you find exactly the moment where you would be able to activate the license, and that's why typically in this scenario where a license can be misused, what do we need to do? We go to License Central and we will immediately revoke the ticket. So meaning that next time when something is done with the ticket, either my deactivation or maybe you, if you now try to activate the license, the license will be automatically removed, the ticket will be withdrawn. And so even if you see the ticket here, this is definitely not a ticket after the webinar. So because it will be withdrawn. So we saw everything that we explained in the webinar. We use this ourselves internally. And so you see why it's good to have this withdrawal process, by the way. And with this, I think we can come to the summary and to the questions.
I think I pressed the wrong button.
Yeah.
So there. So to summarize, what we have seen with the NFR licenses, they are for the internal demo usage only. We want to give them only to our partners, to our internal employees, because they unlock the full feature set, including all future features. They are assigned to a single employee, so either in an Excel sheet or with our license portal. And if the employee leaves the company or loses its dongle, its computer, the license should be revocable. How did we implement it? First, we showed you the second option. Here, the preferred option is the first one. You can use one NFR product code, which is integrated into the software. It's a bit of a higher effort for the integration because you have to add this NFR license product code to every feature, but it's non-effort or low effort when new features are implemented in the back office. And the first thing we showed you is the obvious approach, but we do not prefer this, that you simply create in License Central one module item parent or bundle, but we prefer the module item parent, and add all the feature module items in there. So there's no software integration required because you have to do that nonetheless if you want to have the features separately sold. But when new features are implemented, it's a high effort on the back office to replace all the existing licenses. And for either of these versions you decide you want to implement, you have to create a back office NFR item, and you can use our normal license model, our normal license models like the subscription or the checkpoint licenses.
And for the internal licenses that we saw at last, it's for testing, especially testing of licenses. It could have different feature sets. What we saw here in my demonstration, it had a full feature set. It was an NFR product code, but of course it could have different product codes as well. It has a flexible and short expiration. In my case, it was 1 hour for testing. And the implementation, so nothing to change in the software. And in the License Central, we put either a checkpoint license or a subscription license. And the special thing is after testing, the expiration time resets. And when I do the activation once again, similar to the checkpoint license, it is there for another 1 hour, for another 10 seconds. And with this, we come to the Q&A session. There was already one question that had my attention. Should we use the checkpoint or the subscription implementation?
It depends on your preference. If you want that users have to go often to the web depot, or if it's automatically with the software activation wizard, that's not that big of a deal. You could go with the checkpoint licenses. They are a bit more secure because they are only running for a set amount of time, and you can freely choose it. Or you can go with the subscription licenses. This is the way if you want that the users do not interact that much with the License Central license portal. So they have not to auto-update the licenses as often. But it's less secure because when it's lost, it will run until the end of the subscription period. Benefit for the subscription is that you can cancel it. So if you know that the employee leaves the company in 3 months, you could cancel the subscription and it expires there. And for the checkpoint, you definitely have to use the withdraw. For the subscription, you're free to use this withdraw.
Yeah, and if you're using the subscription, there are 2 different options. One is to have this birthday anniversary, so that you say it runs for 1 year from now. The other one is to have this on a calendar year basic or on your business year basic, depending, of course, on your business year. So saying it runs until the last of December of every year or the last of September, depending definitely on your financial business year. And both options are valid. And I personally would, for this NFR licenses, prefer the birthday implementation, because in this case, not all employees come at the same time at the end of the year and want to renew the license. So this is something that I would personally prefer, but this is, I think, more or less a personal thing.
So there's one last question in the chat. We showed for the internal QA licenses that you can test if the license expires, so the expiration time, and that you can test if the license or the features are working or the features are not working if the license is not there. Can you also combine these two?
So if I understood the question right, to have a feature which expires and features which are not expiring at the same time in the same dongle.
I understood it like you have feature one, or you want to test that feature one is working only, and not feature two and feature three. But you also want to test that this license expires and that feature one is also not working anymore.
This of course works. So we have a license with feature one, but not 2 and 3, and then feature one expires. What's a little bit more complex, if you say, I want to make a test that feature one is not expired and feature 2 is expired. This is also possible, but this needs more attention on the implementation. This was not covered in this webinar. But of course, also this is possible, but this is a process which a little bit more complexity. New questions in the chat. If this was all, I'd like to say thank you for your time and being here and listening to us. I hope we see you again with one of our next webinars. And I wish you a nice day, a nice evening, and bye-bye.
See you. Bye.